This is your town. I'm your host today, Ann Leffel with the Monterey County Business Council. And today we're talking about the Monterey County Business Council, some of the great programs and events, forums, everything that's going on out there. So Kimbley Craig.
Hi.
Hey. We talked about PTAC and we talked about Leadership Monterey County. So I want to talk a little bit about work-ready communities. And about 4 years ago, the Business Council was invited to apply, and we actually applied for Santa Cruz, San Benito, San Luis Obispo, and Monterey County. And ACT accepted 20 counties into the program the very first year in an academy, and all 4 of our applicants were accepted. So the only county of those 4 that's actually moved forward on it is Monterey County. But we've got considerable investment, both time and money, into it. And as an ex-military spouse, to have an opportunity to get a certificate that's known nationally and that's good for 5 years is pretty significant when you're moving around a lot. So it was one of the things that really compelled me about 10 years ago to find this program and think that it was kind of a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I know that there's a website where you can say work-ready counties, and you can see Monterey County on there. It's fascinating to me when you drive through Tennessee or you drive through Georgia, they actually have billboards on the side of their major highways that say, we are a work-ready county.
Well, it sounds to me like we need to start working on that for Monterey County.
Yes.
Get in touch with Clear iHeartMedia, billboards. But it's a program that Monterey County Business Council has taken the lead on and has been a leader in terms of really sort of understanding the workforce development element of economics in our county. Being able to prove, say you have 15,000 or 25,000 people who have tested and received certificates of either, silver, gold, platinum capabilities, shows outside employers, outside companies that we have, capable individuals that live in this community that can be hired for those appropriate jobs.
What's interesting, Site Selection Magazine, which is kind of the Bible for economic development, used to not even have workforce on their top 10. It was things like roads and water and housing, but never workforce. Workforce 2 years ago became the number one issue. And as you read, really, you cannot pick up any type of a publication anymore and not read something about the workforce or lack of.
Sure.
And so I think it's, really, really important that we understand that we do need to join a national movement and prove that we do have a workforce that's competitive so that we too can draw the type of business that we believe that we should have here in this county. But it's hard to prove it anecdotally. You have to really have some proof for people. Right now, the world loves data. So.
Well, it's why the internet is doing so well, because you can prove the return on investment by how much time somebody spends online. So, I would agree with you. The National Resource Network, which is a federally funded program, turned to the county and Monterey County and really looked particularly with the city of Salinas and how we are developing long-term strategies for workforce development. And, one of those elements is looking at how programming in a junior college, you look at, for instance, the agricultural industry. Let's just use that. One of the big focus areas for agriculture has been ag technology. And realizing, so you sort of peel away the layers of the onion, you look at what colleges are teaching, what high schools are teaching, what elementary schools are teaching that have anything to do with agriculture. And you find things like FFA and 4-H are teaching animal care versus tech, and When you go into areas like UC Davis or Cal Poly, really the focus and the curriculum needs to be focused around those industries. And so having a conversation with the private sector, those industries, having a conversation with the public sector, the cities, and having a conversation with the educational sector really sort of creates a comprehensive plan for your workforce, years out. And the Work Keys program is also critical because once those people go through that type of education, they can take do the testing for it, receive a certificate, and then have that proof that they're ready for a new industry. It's been a great program.
Well, it's actually very good because it measures cognitive ability and your ability to learn new things, but it also measures, and I think this is really important, soft skills. Mm-hmm. So there's a complete test that will tell you, is the person able to work by themselves? Should they do they work as a team? Can they handle stress? Are they punctual? It's all about personal behavior, and increasingly that's what we hear over and over and over from people who are hiring, is they had the technical skill, but they didn't have what I needed, and after 60 or 90 days, we had to let them go. And that's so expensive for a business, anybody that's hiring, to have to bring somebody in and then cut them loose. So, and it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing for the person you hired, and it's hard on the rest of the staff if somebody didn't work out. Yeah. So anyway, we'll hear more about that as we go. Monterey Bay Defense Alliance is another program that the Business Council is very involved in. And let's see, we had the first breakfast, which was November?
Yeah, it was November 17th.
Okay.
Yes.
And so now we're in the middle of an economic impact study, which the Business Council has taken the lead on. So I think we'll roll that out the end of March, first part of April. And we've hired Point Loma University down in San Diego. Lynn Reeser, who was the chief economist for several large banks and then also for the California Association of Realtors, is the lead economist. Mm-hmm. So we'll hear more about that as we go. But it's so important to preserve that $1.4 billion industry.
Billion with a B, yes. Industry in Monterey County. I mean, it's a critical element. And I think, having grown up on the peninsula, I think there's a lot of sort of mystery around some of the defense institutions in Monterey County. There's Naval Postgraduate School sits behind a gate. The Defense Language Institute closed to the general public as a thoroughfare after 9/11. But really understanding that there is growth and there is industry that comes out of those, and frankly, population. Your neighbors work there. Your kids' friends are children of students at the Naval Postgraduate School or professors, or it's one of those things that it impacts this area so much more than I think people recognize. I mean, like you said, 1.4 billion industry here in Monterey County. That it's great that the Monterey Bay Defense Alliance has formulated and is actively advocating for that knowledge in our community.
Good. So along that line then, the Business Council went out and filed a trademark on language capital of the world. And because we also believe that so many companies have spun off of the fact that we have the Defense Language Institute and Middlebury here in our community. Those two are just phenomenal with how they have led the world in language training. So we've got a whole nother sector that's busy working on that, which is kind of a subset of the Defense Alliance, but it's also its own sector at this
freestanding entity.
So we're really happy, I think, that we are able to foster some of that and continue to see it grow. And we're actually working with another company coming in right now. So I think there's going to be a lot more that people will see come of that. And Central Coast Broadband Consortium.
Marianne's like life, and she's always off at a Central Coast Broadband Consortium meeting, and the critical elements of long-term planning for a city and a county include discussing broadband, which not everybody wants to do, apparently. It's
or if they want to discuss it, it's because they don't want as much
exactly.
of it.
Yeah.
So, but as we hear from the realtors, many of the homes here either sell or don't sell based on the type of cell phone coverage and broadband coverage they have, because so many people that come here are consultants, or they're working remotely, and they may work for a company in Portland or Denver or Manhattan, but they're working here and they pay their taxes here and their kids go to school here and they have a good quality of life here, but they have to have connectivity. So we have continued to work forward on that, and I think it's going to be one of the things this year that we're going to see a big push on.
I'm looking forward to it. We have identified and credit goes to some of the cities within Monterey County who have identified that broadband is critical, particularly for large companies coming in, and you need that element in order to bring business into the area. And I agree. I mean, something as simple as driving on Highway 1 towards Fort Ord, and Fort Ord, is a large chunk of land, I think the size of San Francisco, if I recall, that has almost zero cell phone coverage, and you've got so many different elements where we have so much work to do with cell coverage and broadband that I think that it'll be a really big topic coming up in the next couple of years.
So along that line, two of our partners that we were able to connect, AT&T and the Defense Language Institute, have agreed upon a little parcel of land for a new tower along Highway 1. So it will really...
Can you hear me now?
It will really improve the quality for the military community that is at the former Fort Ord.
Yep.
And it will improve the lives of all of us who drive that stretch of highway, who want to just rip the phone out and throw it out the window because you're going to get a drop call as you drive that stretch. So it is part of the economy, and it is part of how we move forward. So we were able to make the connection between those two based off of a phone call from AT&T that they had some money that they would put into the county if we could identify some sites that needed help. And that was the first one that was identified. So I think we'll see that early in 2018.
That's great.
Yeah, we can take a bow on that one.
Curtsy.
We didn't fix it, but we made the connection.
We made the connections to make it happen.
So
excellent.
And usually that's, I'm sure that's what you find most of your day is making the connections and just saying, okay, I know this needs to go with this person. And
who can I call about this and put them in contact? Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the most important elements I think about doing anything in Monterey County is managing, your relationships and managing partnerships and making sure that there's consensus and compromise in everything.
Yeah. It's hard, though. It's hard. Well, it's also hard because it's hard not to just then get right into an issue and stay in it. Sometimes you just have to make the connection and back away because there are 15 other connections waiting to be made, and you can't just get yourself immersed in one. Yeah. So
absolutely.
It's kind of crazy how it works. So the Business Council is a public-private partnership, really, when you look at it, and a lot of our best supporters and people that we have helped the most are agencies and cities with the companies because it takes both of them in order to make economic development. And I think it's one of the things we can be most proud of is that there's constantly that interconnection and that building on those bonds.
I agree. I mean, one of the things that drew me initially to the Monterey County Business Council was the fluidity in which the council works. I mean, working with the County of Monterey, working with the City of Gonzales, working with someone who wants to open up a subway, in Seaside.
Togas.
Sorry. that was a hypothetical, but okay, togos to make it a real life scenario. There are so many capabilities that the Monterey County Business Council helps with, just private, public, anywhere where we can assist in business development. And I'm really proud to be a part of that program, because part of that organization, because of their problem-solving capabilities. Coming from private industry, it's like you're hired, you're fired, that's it. Coming from the government sector in my part-time job as a council person, there's a process. If you try to do it behind closed doors quickly, you get accused of not being transparent. And with the business council, it's all about just problem solving. Getting it done and problem solving. And I'm so grateful and honored to be a part of that program, part of that organization that it's really been a great experience the last 6 months to be part of it.
Terrific. So one more thing, and then we're going to end. But February 28th is an infrastructure day.
Yes, desperately needed.
And so
let's talk about awkward things.
The idea is to take the major utilities, the major infrastructure that we need, whether it's roads or it's broadband or it's
gas and electric, whatever,
anything, and say this is where we were maybe 30, 40 years ago. This is how we got to here, and how can we move forward? And I think it's so needed. So it'll be February 28th at the Embassy Suites.
Yep.
And I think we'll push that hard in the next couple of months. And it looks like everybody who is interested in infrastructure, has some piece of it, is interested in being part of that day. So it's going to be a full day. So,
and if you want more information, you can go to www.mcbc, Monterey County Business Council, mcbc.biz. Or you can call 831-216-3000, and we're happy to give you more information on it.
Perfect. So Kimbley Craig, thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. You. Pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
You'll be here on this show a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is your town, and hopefully you've learned some good things today.